condos come back, and so on and so forth. But that's not what we do at Equiton. At Equiton, we lead, we look forward, we see what others don't see. And that's why we're here tonight. The boom is over, but that doesn't mean that Toronto is dead. Look at Toronto. Toronto is one of the most sought after places in the country, in the world. It's where people want to live. It's where people want to invest. The challenge is that the boom from the past had to do with speculation. And it was really about building tiny condos, selling them pre-construction, and hoping that in the short term, you'd be able to either flip out of that condo or you'd be able to assign that condo. And that's not what we're here to talk about tonight. What we're here to talk about tonight is the future. We're here to talk about, look at this brilliant city. Look how gorgeous it is. We all live in this city. We all love this city. So let's build product that actually makes sense for people who want to invest in the city and who want to live in the city. You know, it's amazing because some of the world's largest investors and the largest investors in Canada, what are they doing right now? And when I say the largest investors, I'm talking about life insurance companies, I'm talking about pension funds, I'm talking about large family offices. What are they doing? Do we know what they're doing? They're investing in Toronto. There's more money coming into Toronto right now with the largest institutional investors in the country because they see Toronto as a growing metropolis. They see it as a great place to live. And they understand that now is the time to build in Toronto. And that's why you see so many purpose-built rentals being proposed. That's why you see them building it. Do you think those investors are not bright individuals? These are trillion-dollar and multi-billion-dollar institutional investors that are saying, hey, we like Toronto real estate. We like the fundamentals. This is a place people want to live, and this is a place where we're going to build. We're going to build condos and apartment-style living that people can actually rent and live in. You look at one of the largest developers right now on the purpose-built side, Fitzrovia. They've got almost, I think, 7,800 units under construction. Why do they have 7,800 units under construction? Because they fundamentally believe, and their backers are all pension funds, they fundamentally believe that Toronto is going to continue to grow and continue to be the amazing city that we know it to be, and we know that it'll be even more so tomorrow. So then what does that do for us? What does that mean with respect to the condo market? So how can the condo market of the past evolve into the condo market of the future? Well, we're going to talk about that. So this is a shoebox. And for a long time, all of us, and I'm not pointing fingers, we in the industry in Toronto have been guilty of building and designing and selling little tiny condos that fit ultimately, arguably, into a shoebox. And if we look at what's happening in the market today, and we see what's happening with assignments, and we see what's happening with inventory, we keep seeing headlines. There's tens of thousands of finished units in inventory that are unsold. There's tens of thousands of units that are under construction that are unsold. But what we have to look at is we have to look at what are those units? Because not all real estate is the same. Real estate is not a monolith. Condos are not a monolith. Apartments are not a monolith. So not every apartment is 300 square feet. Apartments can range from 300 square feet. I live in a 3,000 foot apartment. So apartments can be as big as homes. They can be bigger than homes. But the challenge is that as an industry, and we're all in this together, as an industry, for the last 5 years, we drove very much into tiny, price, and we became very sensitive to, it was about price point, and it was about deposit structures, and we forgot that at the end of the day, we're building homes. And whether these homes are going to be bought by investors and rented to tenants, or whether they're going to be bought by young families or empty nesters and lived in as owner-occupiers, we have to build homes that actually work, that make sense, that have bedrooms that fit beds, that have kitchens you can cook in, that have bathrooms that you can actually live in, that there's more place on the counter than just for your toothpaste. That's what we need to do, and that's where the future's going. And if you look at any other mature city around the world, any urban major metropolis, they build apartments that are actually livable, and they build apartments and condos that actually are the size that you can raise a family. You can leave your home as an empty nester and still entertain and have dinner parties and so on and so forth. And that's the future, and that's what Equiton plans to do. So who is Equiton Developments? Well, firstly, we have the two founders of Equiton here in the room, Jason and Helen, and if you could just wave for a moment, they're right in the center. And Jason and Helen have both spent a lifetime in the development and real estate industry. And 10 years ago, they started, it's our 10th anniversary, and 10 years ago, they started Equiton Developments with the idea that everyone in Canada should have the ability to invest in real estate. And not everybody has the ability to buy multiple homes, to buy full apartment blocks, to be able to have, second and third condos in addition to their home. So what Equiton does is Equiton actually is basically a private equity, private REIT that allows everyday Canadians to invest, whether it's their own money, but whether it's registered as in an RSP or not, they can invest and be part of owning an apartment block or be part of a condominium development. And it's a fantastic idea. It's a fantastic promise. And for 10 years, we've just grown and grown and grown. So Equiton now has assets under management of just under $2 billion. We have approximately 4,000 apartment units across the country. We run coast to coast. And we have 5 development sites, of which tonight we're going to talk about our newest one, which I'll get to in a moment. So just in condominium development, we have 1.45 billion in projected completed value, 1.35 million square feet of GFA, and we'll have over 2,082 units. And what's great about Equiton is because of the way that we fund our projects and because of the way that we run our funds, our projects are all paid for. So all this land to build 2,082 units, we own that land. And that land is paid for with equity. And what that means is that we have the time to do things right, and we have the time to deliver on the promises that we offer our purchasers and our investors. We're not under the scrutiny of banks and people, high interest rate land loans. And you see that a lot of times developers in this market, and especially when the market downturns, they have so much financial pressure on them that their decision making is not necessarily that clear. Because their decision making is, well, we got to do something with this land. The interest rates are ticking up. The interest bills keep coming month after month after month. We have to do whatever it takes to monetize or move forward. At Equiton, that's not the way we look at things. We look at how do we maximize value? How do we make sure that we return the best product for both our customers, but also the best investment value for our investors? And by looking at it that way, we behave like an institution. And that's why we look at what are the institutional investors doing? They're investing in Toronto because Toronto fundamentally is an incredible real estate market. It has been for the last 30 years. We're in a downturn because we developed product that nobody really wanted. But fundamentally, people still come here, people still grow here. The immigration net, whether it's immigration from across Canada or global immigration, everybody still wants to be in Toronto. Even though Trump is telling us he's going to slap a bunch of tariffs, that's not really going to happen. And what's great is tomorrow I'm going to be on BNN as part of the rate announcement, and Bank of Canada, we believe, and all the big banks believe, all 6 big banks, that there'll be another 25% interest rate reduction tomorrow, could be even 50. And what's interesting, I did an interview today with another news agency about the Bank of Canada rate cut. And they said, well, no, but what about the tariffs? The tariffs might, cause inflation. And it's interesting because if you study economics and understand economics, tariffs actually create deflation, not inflation. So even though if Trump does apply tariffs on February 1st and prices of certain products go up immediately, what it actually does is it has a de-stimulating effect on the overall economy. So the economy actually shrinks, people's consumer confidence goes down, and they spend less, which means what? Deflation. How do you combat deflation? You lower interest rates. So the fact that Trump is threatening tariffs is a reason that even more so that the Bank of Canada will most likely do the 25 basis points, but who knows, maybe they'll surprise us. It's Chinese New Year, so it'd be great if we could get a 50 basis point surprise. So before I get to the current project that we're launching, I also want to talk to you about some of the future projects that are coming, because the key with Equiton is, again, like I said, we're extremely well financed. We buy things with equity. We have the time and patience to do things right. and we have a backlog of properties that we're very excited to bring forward. So we've invited you here tonight to talk about one in particular, but we also wanted to give you the insight that we're going to have another project launch, perhaps in a couple of months, perhaps in 4 or 5 months, but there's another project launch coming in 2025, and that's our Kingston Road. And then right on the heels of that will be coming 1099 Broadview, and then right on the heels of that, 111 Vincy. So again, we have this pipeline of projects that is just going to come one after the other, after the other, after the other. And all of you, as our loyal agents and brokers, we don't want you to just work on the one, we want you to work on all of them. So now the big unveil. Forget condominium, welcome to Condo Maximum. So Maxium by Equiton Developments. So what is Maxium? Maxium is maximum area, maximum investment, maximum floor plans, and maximum value. And I'm kind of getting tired of standing behind a podium, so I think I'm gonna walk now for a bit. Okay, is this working? Okay, so what is maximum area? So what we mean by that is we mean by neighborhood. So one of the things that's key to real estate, and we've forgotten, and it's interesting because you talk to anybody who's been in real estate for 20, 30, 40 years, ask President Trump, say, what's the most important thing in real estate? Location, location, location. And unfortunately, what happened in the boom is we kind of forgot about that. And we just decided that as long as we had the right price point and the right sort of investment thesis to sell to our individuals and to our speculators, the area didn't matter. So it didn't matter whether you were building next to the Sky Dome or whether you were building in Yorkville. One's a great neighborhood that's been a staple of Toronto for 75 years, and the other is next to a stadium with nothing to do. But we sold it anyway, because they're like, who cares about location? All that matters is 300 square feet, it's under $300,000, and you're gonna do great. So with Maxium, and we care about what the neighborhood is. So Equiton is committed that we're going to build projects in established neighborhoods where people have always wanted to live. So the Queensway, for instance. The Queensway, which originally, before they called it the Queensway, it was Queen Street West. That's how old the Queensway is. The Queensway has been a neighborhood for 75 years. So the Queensway is not some new manufactured place that's a master plan development that some developer thought of, hey, we should just tear down this mall and create a neighborhood. The Queensway is a place that people have been living for generations. And that's what maximum area means. It means choosing locations that people in Toronto have always settled in. That's why Kingston Road, which is the Upper Beaches, again, people have been living there for 75 years. Broadview is the Danforth. The Danforth is one of the most iconic neighborhoods in all of Toronto. When we think of Taste of the Danforth, that's one of the biggest tourist destinations and one of the biggest tourist activities that happens every year. Tens of thousands of people go to Taste the Danforth because the Danforth is a legitimate cultural area that's been around for 75 years. That's what maximum area means. Maximum investment. So real estate, as we know, 70% of almost all wealth on earth was created through real estate. But real estate and investment, when you think about it, investment means long-term. Speculation is, I'm going to buy something and hopefully it goes up in price immediately and I'll flip it the next day. That's not investment. When we think of investment grade, when we think about investment in our children's future, when we think about our investments for retirement, we think about them as these are investments that are going to gain value in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, etc. That's what investment means. And what is maximum investment? Well, maximum investment means buying real estate that actually will hold value and actually appreciate over the course of a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. Well, how is Equiton going to do that? Well, that means we have to actually build very good product. And we'll get to that in a moment, but it's maximum investment means something that isn't an overnight success, but is something that through a generation will just continue to go up and up and up. So similar to what Warren Buffett, his strategy is, he buys things that are quality investments and then he never sells them. So that's how he became one of the richest people on planet Earth, is buy quality and don't sell and just let it go up in value. Maximum floor plans. So what does this mean? So back to, what the little diagram we had with the tiny little condo. So what we're doing now, moving forward, is we're looking at how do we design the floor plans so that you can actually live in the condo. And it doesn't really matter whether it's a studio, a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom. What matters is how big are the bedrooms? Like, can the bedroom actually fit a bed? Because it's great to say you can have a 3-bedroom condo that's 725 square feet, or a 2-bedroom condo that's 545 square feet. But are those bedrooms or are those closets that can hold a bed? And in the case of maximum floor plans, we're actually looking at it. So that doesn't mean every unit in an Equiton building is 1,000 square feet. What it means is we actually looked and said, how big does a kitchen need to be to actually cook in? How big does a bedroom need to be to actually hold a queen or king size bed? And let's design the units around those fundamentals. How big does a bathroom need to be to actually function properly and actually have storage so that you can live there and it doesn't feel like you're in a hotel room? And finally, maximum value. So maximum value means that we're putting money into the product. So yes, like all developers, we want to make sure that we take care of you, our brokers, and our trusted realtors. We want to make sure that we have clever marketing and so on. But what we really want to make sure is that we put most of the money into the product. So we actually deliver value. So you're getting a better kitchen. You're getting better finishes. You're getting better fixtures. You're getting a better building with better amenities, because that's value. Value is a long-term approach, not a short-term approach. So let's talk about the product. So one of the things that's always thought about when you buy a condo or when you buy a home, everybody gets excited about the kitchen, because the kitchen is the heartbeat of the home. Well, what are we doing with our kitchens? We've actually worked with our designers and with the manufacturers. So Scavallini, which is a globally renowned Italian manufacturer for 60 plus years. We collaborated with them and Patent Design, who's our interior designer, and we custom designed kitchens with full Bosch appliance packages that will be standard in every single unit. So in the project that we're launching, you get Scavallini. It's not an upgrade. A Scavallini kitchen is like getting a Ferrari or getting a Porsche. This is not just, your everyday Kia. This is amazing product that actually holds its value and increases in value with time. And guess what? We're putting this in the Schedule C. So this isn't, hey, we're going to do Italian-inspired, designer-chosen kitchens, or Italian-inspired or European-inspired appliances. We're actually putting in the Schedule C, you're getting the Bosch appliance package, and you're getting the Scavallini kitchen. And the kitchens are going to be 10-foot kitchens for studios and 1-bedrooms, 12-foot kitchens for 2 bedrooms, and 14-foot kitchens for 3 bedrooms. I don't think there's been a 14-foot kitchen in a condo for 10 years in Toronto. Bathrooms. So again, partnering with Scavallini, we're doing Scavallini signature bathrooms, and that medicine cabinet mirror combination is real. That's actually going in the bathroom. So you will have full storage. In the larger units, you will have double sinks, and all vanities and all millwork is done by Scavallini. And that medicine cabinet is lit, the mirror slides back and forth, very clever design from Patent Design, and manufactured by Scavallini. So a real bathroom with real storage, just like you would get in a luxury home. And signature closets. So I'm a clothes horse. My wife is a much bigger clothes horse. She's somewhere in this auditorium right now. We love fashion. And we live in a condo. And one of the toughest things about living in a condo is storage. And what's especially difficult is closet space. So when we build condos and when we design condos, we never think about the closet space. So we're featuring, as standard, Scavallini's signature closets. So full built-in millwork, not just a cheap sliding door with a metal rod that you hang stuff on. These are fully engineered, full millwork, including drawers, including areas for tall hanging, low hanging, shoe racks, etc. All built in, all made in Italy, all designed in Italy, and again, standard in every unit. So now back to the neighborhood, the Queensway. So what's interesting, and it's a fun fact, so the Queensway, again, as I said, is one of the oldest neighborhoods in Toronto, but what's fascinating is literally next door to our site or across the street from our site is apparently the best sushi restaurant in all of Ontario. And it's tiny, and it's not a chain. It's owner operated, but it actually, I think it's going to get a Michelin star, apparently, but it's that good. So this is what real neighborhoods deliver. They deliver real restaurants, real cafes, your local, barbershop, your local, hair designer or hairstylist, etc. That's what people want. We're sick of big box stores and chains and so on, and that's what the Queensway delivers. And you're also moments from Humber Valley, which is gorgeous. You've got transit right near you. These are your little boutiques. It's just an amazing neighborhood. I can't say enough about it. I'm a passionate cyclist. That's me on the bike on the bridge. Not really, but I ride in the summers. I ride every morning 60K before I come to work or before I prepare for work. And my ride is from Yorkville, which is where I live, to the Queensway, and then to Port Credit and back. And I got to tell you that the Martin Goodman Trail and everything around Queensway and Nimico is some of the best cycling you can imagine. It's some of the best recreation space. And if I didn't live in Yorkville, I'd live in the Queensway. So, 875 the Queensway Maxium by Equiton Developments. So this is our brand, this is our latest project, and this is what we invited you here today to see. So 875 the Queensway, this is a boutique building, which we think is the future. So it's a mid-rise. I think the time of living with 1,000 of your closest friends in a 50-story building with 500 units has come to an end. I think people are actually much more appreciative to live in buildings that are boutique, that are human scale. So we have 152 suites, 11 stories, and again, everything I've talked about is standard within Maxium. So these are just some renderings of the building. So again, human scale is very important. If you're going to live in a building, whether you're buying it as an investor and you're looking for tenants, or whether you're buying it as an end user or an empty nester, you want a building that feels like it's a human scale, not something that's 80 or 90 stories tall. There's nothing to look at in Toronto 90 stories up, except for clouds. So this is why we believe in mid-rise. Again, outdoor space. We're actually, you can see here the terraces. We actually create terraces that you can live in. So terraces that you can actually dine on, that actually hold a chaise lounge. Not this little smoking ledge that you sort of lean out over that's 3 feet deep and 4 feet wide, like we see throughout condos with all their balconies. So what have we done with our building? Two things. If we can create a proper, livable terrace or balcony, we include it. If we can't, then we take that space back and make your unit bigger, and we add a Juliet. So you'll see on this slide, some units have Juliets. Why a Juliet? I actually prefer a Juliet because then I have more year-round interior living space as opposed to a tiny little ledge that I can't hold anything on. And then from an amenity perspective, again, we want to make sure that our amenities are richly appointed and that they're made for living. This is the lobby at the Queensway. That is a two-way fireplace, indoor and outdoor. Again, patent design, I have to give them hats off. This is just a beautiful, elegant. So we don't have a rendering of our gym. We are still working on it. But what we did, because we think about how people live.